Hey guys, what is going on? What's going on? Levi Apparel, like and subscribe. Listen, guys, normally I talk about t-shirts and t-shirt designing and stuff like that, but lately I've been kind of moving towards news. Um, and today we have a beautiful artwork by one of our viewers that was sent over because they said, listen, you really need to talk about this. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to talk about it. Eventually, I'll make a shirt for it. And we're going to get it going. But it's going to be the title shirt, but not today. Eventually, things are going to get going. So the thing that we're trying to do is basically this. News, headlines, and while we're doing news headline, we're going to turn it into a t-shirt design, and from there we're going to move forward. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it is what it is. So let's take a look at what's going on. This is from Fox News. Give me a quick second. So this is from Fox News about something that just happened. It's crazy. All right, here we go.
As we've been continuing to keep up with the latest movements there in the war and in the conflict that is currently happening right now. We do know there have been
stuff from the beginning. There we go. All right, so this is from Fox News.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. Again, we've been continuing to keep up with the very latest out of the Middle East. Want to showcase a few live looks that we have there in Israel at this hour, as we've been continuing to keep up with the latest movements there in the war and in the conflict that is currently happening right now. We do know there have been some updates as well, as it is now official that there are B-2 bombers heading towards the region. They're heading towards Guam. I'm going to put this up on your screen. This is from Fox News earlier this morning, saying that B-2 stealth bombers appear to be on the move hours before President Trump is expected at the White House. So again, this is a big deal because these several B-2 bombers took off from Whiteman Air Force Base overnight and are now headed towards Guam, according to two defense officials. The conflict is now entering its 9th day. We do know that Iran sent a missile barrage into Israel early this morning, sending millions into bomb shelters. But at this point, no reported casualties from those attacks. Israel has continued to also strike military sites within Iran. But the biggest news is that a summit yesterday in Geneva with Iran's foreign minister and European leaders yielded no signs of a breakthrough. At the United Nations Security Council, Iran.
All right, let's pause it right there so we can do a quick commentary.
Bluetooth disconnected.
This is crazy. But why am I broadcasting it? So again, like I said, I'm trying to do more news clips, headlines, stuff like that. What's going on? Then eventually make a shirt. We gotta get there. So one thing that we gotta focus on is the fact that when it comes to Iran and those places in the Middle East, a lot of that affects the gas. So most of you, I don't know if you've noticed, the gas went up. So as time goes by, let's say if you gotta make a delivery, because this is a business channel too also. If you have to make a delivery for t-shirts, or if you have to make a delivery for anything, what you're gonna notice is the gas is going back up, right? It's been going up steadily, and with this just recent B-2 bombing happening, right? Oh my God! So this is gonna increase the gas. Possibly, who knows? Maybe it might stay stable. Who knows what's gonna happen? But regardless, this is gonna affect a lot of things. However, I just want to talk about something. Have you guys noticed that whenever these things are happening, it's in the weekends? Like, it'll happen on a Friday after the stock market closes. It'll happen on a Saturday after the stock market closes. On a Sunday while the stock market is closing, right? I mean, it's already closed and getting ready to open. And right before the stock market open, everything goes right back to normal. Yes, I think this is called damage control. right? As my friend stated, it is definitely damage control. Because the way these things are happening is strategic. In a way, it doesn't affect the market as much. And you wake up the next day and it's as if nothing happened. You know what I mean? Gas prices gets to be as stable as possible. Maybe you have just inkling of it going up a little bit. And I'm saying all this because at the end of the day, you know, that does affect products getting to and fro and prices going up or down, depending, right? So that's what I'm talking about as like on a business standpoint, you know. But yeah, this is not. I mean, it is what it is. But Trump is making a point. After whatever he had going on in that meeting, he definitely said, "Hey, we're gonna make a point." So yeah, let's continue.
Iran and Israel traded insults in a heated but ultimately inconclusive meeting. We've also been hearing from President Trump saying that he's dismissing the European effort, suggesting that a diplomatic solution would require U.S. involvement. We did hear President Trump speaking yesterday on the conflict and what he hopes.
Also, guys, Trump is talking boldly for a reason. Majority of the time, it's the U.S. that's protecting the world. You know, from these situations that's happening. So he literally has, I mean, the U.S. has a big leg up, and Trump knows this. So he's going to use his leverage as much as he can.
To see happen in the future. Let's listen into some of these remarks here on Live Now from Fox.
We just learned that Rwanda, you know all about Rwanda, and the Congo will be doing a peace settlement, probably coming in on Monday or Tuesday. We're going to be signing it up, and we've stopped a very vicious war. So that was an honor for me to be involved. I want to thank J.D. Vance for a great job, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has done a fantastic job. So Rwanda, a long-term war with the Congo, a very bloody war. They're all bloody, but this was a really bloody one. Is going to be making peace with Congo, and they can get on to making trade deals with the United States and other places and have a much more normal form of...
Guys, this dude is not playing. Trump is not playing. He said, listen, make peace. Get me some of that minerals. Let's go. Let's go.
Life. We're very honored by that. As you know, we did a very great job with India and Pakistan, and we had India in. It looks like we're going to be making a trade deal with India, and we had Pakistan in. It looks like we're going to be making a trade deal with Pakistan, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. Serbia, Kosovo, likewise, they've been fighting for years, and as you know, we brought that one to a conclusion, and now we have a couple of big ones. We have Russia, Ukraine, which is making a little bit of progress. And we have Israel, and nobody really knows what that one is all about. We're going to find out pretty soon, I guess.
Mr. President, the Iranian foreign minister this afternoon said if the U.S. is serious about negotiations, that you would call up Israel and request that they stop their airstrikes. Will you make that request?
Well, I think it's very hard to make that request right now. If somebody's winning, it's a little bit harder to do than if somebody's losing. But we're ready, willing, and able, and we've been speaking to Iran, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. What was the thought process behind 2-week timetable? Just a time to see whether or not people come to their senses. Did the Europeans help at all in talking with Iran? No, they didn't help. No. Iran doesn't want to speak to Europe. They want to speak to us. Europe is not going to be able to help in this one.
20 years ago, you were skeptical of a Republican administration that attacked a Middle East country on the idea of questionable intelligence of weapons of mass destruction. How is this moment different with Iran?
Well, there were no weapons of mass destruction. I never thought there were. And that was somewhat pre-nuclear. You know, there was a nuclear age, but nothing like it is today. And it looked like I'm right about the material that they've gathered already. It's a tremendous amount of material. And I think within a matter of weeks, or certainly within a matter of months, they're going to be able to have a nuclear weapon. We can't let that happen. I was very much opposed to Iraq. I said it loud and clear, but I was a civilian, but I guess I got a lot of publicity. But I was very much opposed to the Iraq war. And I actually did say, don't go in, don't go in, don't go in. But I said, if you're going to go in, keep the oil. But they didn't do that.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
Trump doesn't play. He says he doesn't care. Whether you work for me or not, you have your own opinion. I have mine. Let's go.
Landing in Iran from China.
They say that they're there to take people out, but I can't tell you about that. I get along very well with China. Get along very well with President Xi. I like him. He likes me. We have a very good relationship. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine them getting involved.
Is it a decision that you need to make on Iran, whether to strike militarily? Is this the biggest decision you'll have to make as president?
Well, I can't tell you that. I have to see what happens. I can't, really say that. It depends what the decision is. But I wouldn't really be able to tell you that now. I'll tell you in about a year from now. Maybe 5 years or 10 years from now. You never know about decisions. You never really know.
Would you support a ceasefire while the negotiations happen?
I might, depending on the circumstances.
Would you...
It's very hard to stop. I will say this. It's very hard to stop when you look at it. Israel's doing well in terms of war. And I think you would say that Iran is doing less well. It's a little bit hard to get somebody to stop.
Liam Cosgrove was here. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz threw out an interesting idea suggesting that if you were to broker a deal where nuclear inspectors go into both Israel and Iran, that you could win a Nobel Peace Prize, and they might even rename it the Trump Peace Prize. Did you hear those? What do you think of that?
Well, they should give me the Nobel Prize for Rwanda, and if you look, the Congo, or you could say Serbia, Kosovo, you could say a lot of them. You could say, the big one is India and Pakistan. I should have gotten it 4 or 5 times. I should get it for I would think the Abraham Accords would be a good one, too. They won't give me a Nobel Peace Prize because they only give it to liberals.
Would you support Iran being able to have nuclear, or would you support Iran being able to have civilian nuclear energy capabilities up to 3.76%?
They're sitting on the top of one of the largest piles of oil in the world. I just don't know why they need that for civilian work. It's one thing for certain countries to say, hey, I want to have a certain amount where I can go nuclear a little bit because we need it for electricity, we need it for air conditioners, etc. But when you're sitting on one of the largest oil piles anywhere in the world, it's a little bit hard to see why you need that. Yeah.
Iran or its proxies would wage terror attacks against American targets abroad if you order military action.
We're always concerned about that, and we have to take them out and be very strong. You're even in danger talking to me right now. Do you know that? You are in danger talking to me right now. So I should probably get out of here. But you guys are actually in danger. Can you believe it?
One more. Is it still your expectation that NATO countries spend 5% of their GDP on defense spending?
I think they should do that. I don't think we should, but I think they should. We've been supporting NATO so long. In many cases, I believe paying almost 100% the cost. So I don't think we should, but I think that the NATO countries should, absolutely.
What, like Spain decides not to?
Well, NATO's going to have to deal with Spain. Spain's been a very low payer. They were always a very low payer. They were either good negotiators or they weren't doing the right thing. I think Spain has to pay what everybody else has to pay. Spain has been notorious for low pay. You know what?
Trump is not playing. He's searching for every penny. Let's go.
This was a low payer, just about the lowest. A place called Canada. Because Canada said, why should we pay when the United States will protect us free? And they've been right about that.
ICE.
Ukraine been making progress towards a peace deal, but I don't know if you know this, but Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo were there on the ground in Ukraine, seemingly doing the opposite, trying to provoke the Ukrainians to keep fighting. What do you think of that?
Well, we're going to see, and people have to be very careful with what they say. They got to be very careful with their mouth, because their mouth can get them into a lot of trouble.
One more. ICE has said that they're trying to arrest up to 3,000 individuals a day. There are some communities that are saying they are fearful of being wrongfully detained or separating some families, even if they're undocumented. Is the fear in some of these communities worth the deportations of these undocumented individuals, a mass deportation program?
It's a tough subject because, look, we have farmers. I love farmers. I won 80%, 85% of the farmers, and I love them, and I'm never going to do anything to hurt our farmers. And you could also say the leisure business, etc. There are some businesses where you have a disproportionate amount of people that are the people that you're talking about. At the same time, we have to get the criminals out of our country. And we're looking at doing something where, in the case of good, reputable farmers, they can take responsibility for the people that they hire and let them have responsibility, because we can't put the farms out of business. And at the same time, we don't want to hurt people that aren't criminals. Most of the people that came in over the last 3 years under Biden, I would say probably 3.5 to 4 years, those people, you have a lot of criminals, you have a lot of, I mean, we're looking at that very closely. You've had people that have worked on farms for 20 years. It's very hard to go in there and say, you know, you're coming out. But we're going to let the farmers take responsibility. They're great people. They'll do it. They know the good and the bad. So the hard part about this is not like a normal war where people wear uniforms. They don't wear uniforms. But we have murderers that came out of the last 4 years. We have murderers. We have drug lords. We have people that we don't want to. We have prisoners. They emptied out Venezuela and many countries. They emptied out their prisons into the United States. We have to get those people out. But we have stone-cold murders, 11,888 murders. We've already gotten a lot of them out of here, but we don't want them. So we have to be careful. But I never want to hurt our farmers. Our farmers are great people. They keep us happy and healthy and fat.
Are there other cities that you're going to try to replicate what you've done in Los Angeles?
Well, I mean, we had a big victory last night in the Court of Appeals with respect to Los Angeles, but really the country, where Gavin Newsom, who's really an incompetent governor, he's just doing a terrible job between his fires, between all the houses burning down, his forest fires, and now Los Angeles. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, and the sheriff admitted it, he had no control. He would have lost control. We saved Los Angeles by having the military go in. And the second night was much better. The third night was nothing much. And the fourth night, nobody bothered even coming. We put out that fire, and we did a great job of it. He sued us for going in and for helping him. We went and helped him. Right now, you'd have Los Angeles burning to the ground. Largely, it would have already been destroyed.
So do you think deportations should...
president to be that of a peacemaker? You worry that striking Iran would change that?
Always a peacemaker. That doesn't...
You know, that's interesting. When I was watching CNN and all those other news medias, they were saying that Trump was just sending, what do you call it, National Guard for a purpose of immigration. But here he's saying, no, I didn't just go in for immigration. I went in to help stabilize Los Angeles. As most of you guys already know, if you don't know, Los Angeles was having issues when it came to like the laws that they enacted was allowing a lot of people to like loot and do just like a lot of things that just is not appropriate. So that's pretty cool. Oh, I'm on that. There we go. Back on acoustics. The whole time I was on KTV. I don't know what that is. The Echo. Anyways. So yeah, so that's interesting to know that he went there not just for just like an ICE purpose. It was more to create stability in Los Angeles. That's pretty interesting. Didn't even realize that.
I mean, sometimes...
You know what? I think that deserves an applause right there. There we go. There we go.
You need some toughness to make peace, but always a peacemaker.
Can you win in Iran without ground forces?
Is an aerial campaign in Iran enough, or do you need ground forces?
Well, I'm not going to talk about ground forces. The last thing you want to do is ground forces.
Does Iran have 2 weeks, or could you strike before that? Are you essentially giving them a 2-week timeline?
I'm giving them a period of time. We're going to see what that period of time is, but I'm giving them a period of time, and I would say 2 weeks would be the maximum.
Mr. President, do you think deportations should focus on criminals or all people who are here illegally?
Should start focusing on criminals, and that's what we've been
How much longer
focused
do
on.
we have? Because I
Very
gotta
bad
go. I
criminals,
gotta get back
dangerous
to work.
criminals.
But Stephen Miller said to
Making
go out
some
and
tote
arrest
bags.
every
I'm
person
actually
who's here.
screen printing some tote bags.
We, the United States, don't have the same air defenses as Israel does. We, being our bases in the Middle East, and also, we try to operate in the Persian Gulf because
A lot of people was against the Iron Dome thing and was saying stuff about it. Now I understand why this dude is trying to make sure we have something that's more of a defense. Because, as this guy is saying, for as much defense that we have, something like an Iron Dome would be like amazing, you know?
it's critical to freedom of navigation and global energy supplies. But it's a very crowded and contested environment, and Iran has built its forces using all sorts of different types of missiles and drones to make it very difficult for us to operate in there if they choose.
I want to pop this up here on your screen. This is coming in from the New York Post, and it's something that is developing here as we are told by Iranian media that a top Iranian nuclear scientist was killed in Israel's strikes, and he bragged that he wasn't worried about assassination. We've seen a lot of these nuclear scientists that have been taken out during this operation, correct?
Yes, I think that was honestly one of the most stunning tactical successes in a campaign that even in just a week has been full of that.
Can you imagine you got hired and you think everything is good, next day you're gone? Wow, that's crazy.
For the Israelis is essentially just like they did with a lot of Iran's military, basically taking out the command and control, the brain trust, if you will, of Iran's nuclear program. People are rightly focused on Fordow and the other physical facilities Israel has neutralized. That's the hardware, but taking out the software, the key software, is more important in terms of slowing Iran's ability to reconstitute the program.
And another question I did want to ask, because we were following that breaking news that is coming in from Fox News. We, as we introduced you here, were getting the information, and they said that the U.S. B-2 stealth bombers were headed toward Guam. How significant overall is that? I assume anything that happens with the U.S. here is fairly significant, and a lot of people are going to be discussing it.
Certainly. In normal times, moving B-2 bombers overseas to places like Guam would, be interesting, but I don't think particularly consequential. But obviously in this context, as you mentioned, everyone's watching tracking those movements. It depends, I guess, where they move next. If they stay at Guam, I would put less importance on it than if they continue on to Diego Garcia, which is a U.S.-British base in the Indian Ocean within easy flying range of Iranian targets. And it's significantly a place where Trump sent a half dozen B-2 bombers earlier this year when he started negotiations with Iran as a signal that the military option was indeed on the table. So I would say to everyone, keep an eye on where they go next, if anywhere.
And I did also want to ask you here, as we go in reverse a little bit and talk a little bit more about the information that is coming in here. We do know that Iranian officials did issue a message saying that if Khamenei, the supreme leader there of Iran, is targeted in any way, the U.S. military and personnel will be attacked. Do you feel, just based on the information that we do have, that that is a legitimate threat?
I certainly think so. It goes back to my earlier point about how Iran has built a lot of its military forces to target our bases and our partners in the Gulf. And certainly what Iran is used to doing is to go to the U.S. and say, if Israel keeps hitting us, keeps pressuring us, we're going to turn around and we're going to make life very difficult for you, the United States. They did this well even before October 7th, but especially since then, and they're continuing to do it in this war. And so this is one more way Iran is trying to say, the harder Israel hits us, or if you, the United States, try to join in, we'll make this conflict very uncomfortable for everyone involved.
I wanted to ask, this is also something that so many people have discussed because you always say Iran when you're talking about the situation here, but there is a difference, right, between the Iranian regime and maybe most of the people there in Iran, correct?
Certainly, yes. Speaking more, specifically, certainly there's the regime and there's the vast majority of the people. Iran has always been a country where the regime is about as anti-American as you can get, but the populace is largely not. I think what's very interesting is that in recent years, especially the past 5 or so years, we've seen the bases of open opposition to the regime, the protests, increasingly broaden. For years, when you'd see protests, it was kind of what you would expect. The longtime opponents of the regime, generally secular and urban populists, generally better.
All right, so I'm gonna cut it right there because it's getting a little bit too late. But like, subscribe, Levi Apparel. Yeah, I have to change the title page or the thumbnail, so I'll do that soon. But yeah, so you heard it right here, apparently from Fox News, stating that U.S. B-2 stealth bombers headed towards Guam. Yeah, so Trump's not playing. All right, so like and subscribe again. We got more coming. When I'm a little bit super organized, I guess it's gonna be news, and then from there we're gonna go directly to like shirt designing, make the shirts, get everything set, logo, all that, and then gonna get going. But yeah, so as these news are happening, it just flash. And anyways, I gotta go. Tomorrow I'm gonna talk about the whole Karen Reed thing that happened, because apparently there's breaking news with that, and I was just about to get ready to make the shirt for that one. She's gonna say guilty or not guilty. But yeah, it is what it is. Apparently her parent, the parent of O'Keefe, is anyways, you'll see it tomorrow. Like, subscribe, Levi Apparel. Alright. Yes. Alright, so that was Fox News. Link's gonna be in the description. Check it out. And peace. I'm out. Levi Apparel. See you tomorrow. Yeah, so